up, everyone? Welcome to the BDE Sports Talk Podcast. Here to give you the latest scoop in the world of sports in the great state of Michigan and the great city of Detroit. In this episode, we talk about new beginnings for the Pistons, a round of overreactions, and as always, the weekly Tigers update. I'm Bill, one of three co-hosts, along with the D and E of the BDE, Dean and Eddie. Fellas, you looking good? Do you feel as good as you look?
Oh yeah.
I'm not sure I could feel that good.
Oh, okay. Well, that's awesome. I'm pulling this up real. I want to pull this up real quick before we get going. Usually, we will before we get into tonight's episode or our episodes. We always go over with Adobo Boy. Adobo Boy, by the time this comes out, will be closed for the next month. They have a lot of things going on with the festival and a couple other things. So starting Saturday, June 8th, which this will be after, they will be closed until July 2nd. So
just in time for 4th of July.
Just in time.
Let freedom ring, baby.
Yeah.
They're not closing. They're not closing down for good. They are going to be part of the Asian Pacific Islander Festival, and they're going to take a vacation. So, no ads for the next couple weeks, just because you can't go. So. With that said, we let's get into this week's episode with a BDE round of applause for Trajan Langdon doing what Tom Gores didn't have the guts to do himself.
The nuts
and the guts on this guy. And that was mutually agree on Troy Weaver's time coming to an end in Detroit. Troy Weaver finishes with a 74-244 record as GM of the Pistons. Long overdue, probably about a year and a half. But we will get into some thoughts. Dean, we will start with you because I know Ed will have plenty to say.
No, I don't got that much.
We will see. Dean, how are you feeling? Are you sad?
I mean, a little. No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, it was really good for the team, obviously. I know you guys were kind of thinking that he might not let him go, but I really don't think he had any other choice. I think he pretty much had to. It's like you get all this lashback from the fans. I mean, everybody knows that he has to go. I mean, dude hasn't put any of the right pieces around their number one pick from 3 years ago in Cade. And that's the main goal when you have the number one overall pick, is to build around that guy. That's the guy you pick. That's the guy you should be building around. He never did that. And I mean, it showed in the record, So this is good. I'm glad he's gone. He did the right thing, and we'll see what happens going forward.
The nuts on that guy.
The nuts.
The cojones.
On Weaver. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
He showed his face.
He mutually agreed.
Yeah, mutually sure. Well, so long, Trader Troy. It's been real, and I really think you gave it I really do think you gave it his best, but it just wasn't even close to good enough. I mean, like you said, with a record of 74-244 during your tenure, there isn't enough good that happened to even mention other than the cap space we're currently sitting on. So, I mean, there is that. Thank you, Trajan Langdon, for making it happen. I don't know how anybody could have taken the start to his tenure seriously without having had the face of this incredibly terrible run of basketball fired. It at least gives me a little hope. Plus Trajan's time in New Orleans. I mean, so getting away from that as GM, I mean, he saw the team improve win totals every single season. His first season as GM, they went 31-41. This last year, they finished 49-33. And again, it was an improvement in wins every single year. So it at least gives us hope for the future. Hopefully his GM hire is the right one. I've heard Tayshaun might be in the mix for that as well, which that would be pretty cool if he's good. I mean, Memphis is all right. I mean, I don't know, but
throw that number in.
Other than that, Troy, see ya. Don't care what you do, just stay away.
So I saw something actually either today or yesterday. I think it was yesterday. That how do you guys feel about Monty might being the next to be gone?
I mean, it kind of makes sense. I mean, if he's going to go ahead and fire Troy, you almost want to clean house as a new GM and start over with your guys that you hired. And then everything's on you. You're not dependent on somebody else that you didn't pick, roughly determining whether or not you keep your job. So I mean, because if Monty doesn't pan out regardless, he's tied to him in that sense. So if you're going to be tied to somebody, you want it to be your guy, So, I mean, if it happens, it happens. I don't think they should. I think they should give him a year, at least a season. But I mean, it's obviously not my call. So,
no, I'm fine either way. If they let him go, I like it in its own way because, I know he wasn't set up to succeed, but he also did coach a 14-win team. So there's a give and take there. Dean, you're right about that as far as, having whoever you're tied to is who you want to be with or whatever. In some weird way, almost keeping money on might give Trajan Langdon an extra year of grace just because it'd be like, okay, well, now we're getting rid of Monty, and so we're starting anew. But I don't know, Monty's he's a good coach.
Yeah.
I thought so. I believe, like I said last week, I think he's still got a good coach in him. I think this season really beat him down, and I think the only reason he took the job was because of the money anyway. But if he's inspired, I think it's great to keep him around. If he's not that interested, that's kind of BS on his part, because they have to buy out so much money to do that, and for you to be like, I don't care if I'm here or not, is total bull, dude. So if he wants to be here, then I certainly want him here. And if he's not that interested, then we'll start over. But if John Langdon goes the boardroom and lays his wang on the table and says that he's out of here, and I'm bringing my people in, I'm cool with that too. So we'll see what happens, man. I'm not hurt by it. It's disappointing because I had a lot of hope, thinking Monty is the kind of guy who could lead this young talent. But outside of that,
I'm with you. If he thinks Monty being let go is what's best for this franchise, I'm all for it. I mean, can't get any worse. So
he announces Arn Tellem as the new head coach.
It got worse.
Assistant head coach.
It just got worse.
It got worse. So, we'll see what happens in the coming week. I would assume that they'll probably make a decision on that sooner than later, right?
Do you think they're going to move on from him?
I don't think so.
We also didn't think he was going to fire Troy. Both of us.
Right. No, I agree. Yeah, I know. But I guess it really depends on, Tom Gores, supposedly he's down for giving him the buyout money if Trajan wants to let him go.
Tommy G's down for whatever.
Yeah.
Always 2 weeks ahead.
He's 2 weeks ahead and 2,000 miles away, baby. He's like, it's hardly 5% of everything I own. So
that's true.
Whatever.
Yeah, I think he stays. If for anything, it just depends on what is it, Trajan? either way,
I've been saying Trajan, but I don't really know.
I'll have to look that up. Langdon. We'll call him Mr. Langdon.
He is Mr.
Tomato,
Langdon.
Mr.
He is.
Langdon.
He's yeah. You fire Troy Weaver, you're Mr. Langdon.
Big Dick Langdon. If he thinks there's someone out there that would better serve to be the coach, I guess, let's
Sure.
do it.
Sure. Yeah.
But I feel like he did coach a 14-win team.
He did.
That's always the thing you can bring up. I mean, it justifies all of it.
Right.
Yeah.
So
You can let go whoever and be like, we just came off a 14-win season.
Yeah.
And be like, yeah, you're right.
Not a
You're
lot of
right,
argument
dude.
there.
No,
Yeah,
I mean,
no.
there's no arguing that. You're right. We were the worst.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, I think it's going to be sooner than later, just because most of the teams are out of. Well, it's the finals now, so if like JB Bickerstaff, I saw a rumor that if he was available, it just
Darvin Ham will be available.
Duncan Darvin.
Hey, just real quick while we're on basketball, who you guys got for the finals? Mavs or Celtics?
I've always been more of a Mavs guy,
Oh.
so I'll probably go with the Mavs myself.
Just because you're a Mavs guy?
Yeah, I was a big fan of Dirk back in the day.
Sure.
And yeah, they've always kind of been like my other team, I guess, kind of. If I had
Okay.
another team
All right.
to cheer for. Why don't you
All right,
back
keep
off?
it in your pants, bro. All right, I'm done. That's my bad.
I love Mark Cuban. No,
The
he's not
Cubes.
really.
I like Luca.
He's sweet.
I bet you do.
I like how he plays. I wouldn't
He
mind
plays the
seeing-
right way.
No, I mean
The nerve you think you have to play in that league, bro.
I was gonna say
We need more layups. 5 passes.
What happened to the mid-ranger, huh?
And I know they're traveling on that step back. It's not how Larry did it. I'll tell you that right now. Not how Jerry West did it.
I wouldn't mind seeing Jason Tatum get his first ring either. So I really don't. Honestly, I don't care, but I do like Luca. I like how he plays.
Yeah, I'm with you. I guess especially to be on the other side of that, because I could go either way. I'll go with Boston. I don't know. They're ready. They've been ready. Kyrie Irving is that's interesting stat I heard today. He's actually 0-10 against Boston since leaving Boston. I don't know if he just gets too worked up because they left on bad terms or whatever, trying to like shut people up or whatever. But he's 0-10. But I think he's the linchpin to the whole series. Like if Kyrie balls like he's been balling, it's Dallas.
Yeah.
But if he steps back,
Luka's
it's
going to get
Boston.
his.
Oh, Luka's going to do what he does every game.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
I mean,
yeah.
So no, I was just curious what you guys thought.
My 2 favorite players, Luka Doncic and
Kristaps Porzingis.
Yeah, I was going to say Kristaps.
I did see that the tail of the tape where it used to be Luka and Porzingis, and it was Tatum and Kyrie, and now it's Tatum and Porzingis and Kyrie and Luka. So it's been kind of a little swap.
My second favorite player is Nikola Jokic.
Oh, if JJ Redick could be our next GM, that would be.
What's Kyle Singler doing these days?
Yeah.
What's
The
his
best
name
draft
in,
pick we ever made.
in LA? Austin Reeves.
Oh, sure.
Oh yeah, Austin Reeves.
Yeah.
Number
3. What's that other guy? The bald guy. He can dunk. Caruso.
Yeah, Caruso.
Caruso.
You're a big Caruso guy. Well, you were a big and probably still are a big Mo Wagner guy.
Yeah, I mean.
Oh wow, he leaves and you're just out, huh?
Yeah, I mean it's the same with JJ. like, I mean, I'll appreciate JJ for what he did for Michigan, but he's
Oh,
a Viking now.
McCarthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking
I was thinking-
Reddick
sorry.
still.
Sorry,
Yeah.
yeah.
For what he
It's like,
did for
same with
Michigan.
Reddick.
You meant a
Yeah,
lot
you
to
you know
really
what I
do.
mean? But you know what I mean, though? Like, he's a Viking now, and
Right.
Dude,
At least he's not a Packer or a Bear.
it doesn't.
That's how I would
Dude,
look at it.
Vikings fans are just as bad.
I
once
mean,
they
but
started-
of the three though.
if I have to look at one of the logos, I'll choose the Vikings over the other two.
Yeah.
100%.
Did you see their white uniforms?
Ooh, those are pretty nice.
Those are
Those
sweet.
I just saw those. I was like, those are
Yeah.
kind of sick. Yeah.
Yeah, I looked at those like, yeah, that's
The white
solid.
helmet with the
Yeah.
horn on.
You know what? The Vikings aren't bad.
Yeah, go be my team.
JJ to JJ, it's my
Yeah,
favorite.
JJ to JJ.
Who's the
So-
real J Jettas?
So, sticking with football, let's do a segment of overreaction, and wanted to ask you guys,
Just ask it.
ask it.
Go ahead, just ask it, man. You want to
There's
just
two,
do it.
both college football related. First overreaction.
Chips in the playoffs.
Chips.
Fire up,
Chips.
baby.
12 seed.
Stallions. We need you.
Yeah.
Take on a full-time position.
Hey, he has the hat. So
He does. He's already got the outfit.
It's already ready. Yeah.
So MSU will win 10 games this year and grab a playoff spot. Overreaction or realistic? Oh, he puts up the Sparty mug. He
Mm.
believes.
I think that's a bit of an overreaction. I think that's a
What?
I think that's a tall order to ask for with all the transfers that have left. I know they've brought in quite a few guys, but I mean it's a turnover, right? Like I know we picked up Chili's or whatever his last child, Chili's, whatever his name is. We picked up him in the tight end, and a few other guys. But what else? What more can you really do? I mean, I think more realistic standard, especially like if you were to say just 10 wins, that's already pushing the envelope, but you're adding a playoff spot into that mix in a tougher Big Ten conference. That's a tall order. I would say the more realistic answer for them to go is maybe 7 wins, 8 wins, and then let's see what happens as the recruiting goes. I know the new Jonathan Smith, I know he's been recruiting similar to how D'Antonio did it, starting off with, not bringing in like how Tucker was going, bringing in 5-star recruits, 4-star recruits, guys that aren't going to sign at Michigan State. He's bringing in these 3-star guys with potential, and we'll see what happens. I like the way he's going about it. It has more of a D'Antonio feel. So, I'd say 7-8 wins is a more realistic bar to go for, at least in this first year as they're rebuilding the program.
Even with Michigan State, Vegas odds had them set at 4.5 over under, and I think that was like tied for like second lowest in the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
4.5 wins
Yeah, they set the over under at 4.5
for the year.
Yeah,
Man,
Holy crap.
it is kind of crazy how they have to go against Oregon in Jonathan Smith's first year as the head coach. I mean, he's used to going against them as they're becoming a powerhouse. I mean, if they continue on that streak. So we'll see. I like how he's going to end up building the program. I think. I mean, I like how he's going about it right now. So we'll see what happens.
yeah, and you're right. He does take more of a D'Antonio approach, just based on the way he's recruiting. Mel Tucker kind of went on a more national level type of trying to recruit, and there was obviously very mixed results because I don't think he pulled in who he was hoping to pull in, and the guys he pulled in were like those transfers that were formerly 4 or 5-star recruits, but were on their third team, so
yeah.
that's how it goes. But Jonathan Smith has been really hitting it hard regionally, and I mean, I think that's what Michigan State has to do anyway,
Yeah.
even though it's tough because you're competing with the other big dogs
The big dogs
in our area. As far as an overreaction, I mean, yeah, it is. It's an overreaction to say they win 10 games and grab a playoff spot. I can make an argument for why it might possibly happen because the schedule isn't an overly difficult one. When I wrote this, that's what I said. But according to like ESPN FPI, they have like the 19th hardest schedule in the country, which I was surprised. And Michigan was like 18th. So I was surprised they were that close. But pretty much plan to lose the big three games, OSU, Oregon, Michigan. It's possible they pull one of those out, but I mean, it's Johnson Smith's first year. The team is revamped. I think they could come out and look better than people are giving them credit for. If they start 4-0 and smack Boston College, that could be something. But right after that, we got to travel to Columbus, and it's just not happening. And MSU just doesn't have the juice to beat them without Childs or Chili's, however you like, playing out of his mind. And we haven't even seen him take a stab at a green jersey, you know?
Seen him play yet.
So it's an overreaction. I mean, it's a new staff, a lot of turnover with players. And while the schedule is manageable, which I thought it was, I guess, according to the FBI, it's not as manageable. It just doesn't look like a schedule with 10 wins on it for a team that only won 4 last year. And I think even with 10 wins, there's a good chance they don't make it in anyway, honestly. I mean, because that one win of the 3 teams I listed as definite losses. No offense. The only one I mean, probably Michigan's the only one you could win of those 3, I think. Based on rivalry, based on the makeup of the other 3 teams. I mean, OSU and Oregon are the class of the Big Ten right now, as far as you just look at a roster. So, but that doesn't mean everything. So, one win of the 3 teams. I mean, and they're not going to go into Ann Arbor and win. They're not going to beat the national champs after a 4-win season. It's just not going to happen. I mean, it'd be an overreaction to say that they would even just win that game, I think. So we don't really know how it's going to turn out this season, but however, like Dean said, I think anything less though than 7 wins is a failure for this season and for what they got going on. I guess we'll see how it goes on the field, but they should be able to get 7 wins with that schedule. And I honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, I should probably put money on that over 4.5.
Once you said over 4.5,
while it's still fresh. Yeah. Of course, then they win 2, right? But every time they're dogged like this, it seems like something just happens for the team, and maybe that's more of a recency bias over the last 12-15 years, to where it's like every time they look like they were being counted out, they would have a good year, or a really good year,
And this team is way more talented than last year's team too, so
we don't know that yet.
I mean, on paper, if you're looking just purely on the roster, I mean, if you just look at the quarterback position alone, which is huge in college football, you know what I mean? Especially in college football, the quarterback is massive, and we did not.
Well, it depends, man. If you run against like Michigan's, the quarterback's not that important.
That's true.
But they can still get drafted lottery.
That's true.
Don't listen. Cover your ears. Cover your ears. You don't want to hear this.
You don't want to
see. No, I was kidding.
You don't want no part of this shit.
It's hard to say because like I look at some things and like I saw one article that was Michigan State was the big losers of the transfer season because we lost a bunch of transfer. But it's like those guys weren't really doing it here. We were a 4-win team, man.
Yeah.
And now, granted, there were games they should have won, but that's every team. So, I don't know. Simeon Barrow, that's probably the real one that you lost that had actual production. Other than that, I'm like, yeah, these guys were former 4-5-star recruits that we didn't get here in their first year. They came here because they didn't make it at somewhere else.
Right.
And now they're leaving again, which is how it always goes. But yeah, so yes, Bill, it's an overreaction to say they're going to have 10 wins in a playoff.
I would say the same thing, only because it's 10 wins. 10 wins is going to be tough regardless. I
said, I don't even know if 10 wins get you to the playoff.
That's what I said too. I was like, if you just said 10 wins,
It depends what those 10 wins are, though. You
For
know what I mean?
sure.
yeah.
But like, if you have the big wins and your 10 wins, then who are your 2 losses to?
True.
Prairie View
Indiana.
True. Well, who I don't know what their schedule
Boston
looks
College.
like early.
The first, yeah. I mean, we got to be. If we don't beat Boston College, then
They got Prairie
gonna be
View
pretty
A&M
worried.
too, don't they?
yeah, that's the one that got
That's
replaced.
that's the one I'm worried about. That's the game right there. That's my prime time.
But I mean,
game.
they lose
That's the
to
game.
Boston College early, right?
That would
They-
be
just
week
early.
5 or week 4. Week 4 is Boston College. So I can't remember. There's somebody that we should definitely beat week 1, and then Prairie View A&M, and then after that, I think is Maryland, which I think people consider kind of a toss-up, even though they don't have Tungavailoa anymore.
Right.
But just based on, I mean, like I said, you base it on that, but they also say Michigan State's set at 4.5. So, and we feel differently. At least Dean and I do, that they're better than that. We really don't know.
Right.
It's hard to say.
Right.
They could have a 4-win season again, and you'd be like,
Right.
okay, well, it's his first year, kind of like when he started at Oregon State. Like his first year wasn't awesome, but they got better and better and better. I mean, that's all you can really hope for.
While competing against
Right.
Oregon in the recruiting scale,
mean,
you know what I mean?
Exactly. I mean, he just walked in the same situation, except with more big dogs.
Instead of Oregon.
I mean,
State,
not necessarily. USC's pretty big over there,
Yeah, just that whole West Coast.
Washington
is probably tough to
State
get.
isn't even like something to sniff at, I mean,
Right.
and then you go Washington. Anyway, you guys know the teams that are out there. Let me just name
Arizona?
all the college teams in the Pac-12.
The now defunct Pac-12.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's an overreaction. A lot of things got to come together, and you guys already talked about it. So, second overreaction or not, Michigan will win the Big Ten for the 4th consecutive year. I'll just start, and I love Michigan football. I think it is an overreaction. They are set to bring back one player on offense that started more than half the games, which was Colston Loveland. I mean, yes, Donovan Edwards is there, but new quarterback, completely new offensive line, new receivers. On the defensive side, new head coach, new offensive line coach, new train. I mean, it's when you start to really look at it, it's like 4 on defense: Will Johnson, Rod Moore, Makari Page, and Mason Graham. Which they are good. Those 4 are good, but that's you still leave 7 guys that are new starting on defense. Last year's team was special. The last couple years, the whole Stallions thing, whatever. But I mean, that team was talented regardless.
You just need a little extra help.
A little boost.
It's to get them get that push.
Boost to get
there
them
was
over the top.
there was an MSU fan that
they do have the trophy.
They do.
That's all that matters, baby.
That it was on the college football game Facebook page, and it said like I pre-ordered and it had Connor Stallions, Jim Harbaugh standing next to each other. The one where you get to like see the opponent's plays and like you get to skip to the end of the game or something like that. And then so as a joke, I said, is there also a showcase mode where you have to be MSU and try to get a point against Michigan?
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Good shot. That's a good shot.
It's a completely different team, man. We don't know how Orgy Time is going to work out. I would hope he's good. He's looked good from what I've seen, but he hasn't played any meaningful football outside of, what they did with JJ when Cade was there.
I mean,
bring
at
him in for
minimum, he's
special
an
plays.
athletic freak, right?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, he is. So, I mean, and they got Jaden Davis is there. I mean, the quarterback battle will be pretty good. I think Orgy will be the starter. But just a lot of unknowns. As of right now, overreaction, yes. It's tough. You said it. Oregon and Ohio State on paper is the class of the Big Ten. I hate saying that because it's Ohio State.
Just say it. The Buckeyes are the best team in the Big Ten this year. Just say it.
Country.
Just say it. The world.
Let's go baby.
And they got rid of divisions this year, right? It's all just
believe so.
One straight. Yeah. So it's going to be extremely tough. Is it out of the realm of possibilities? I don't think so. I think they have a good chance of winning the Big Ten. It's going to be tough, though. I mean, it was going to be tough regardless. I mean, even if you take even last year's team and put it with the with the conference that it is now and the schedule that they have, it would be tough anyway. So, as of right now, overreaction, yes, but I'm not putting it off the table. I can't. They're the defending national champs.
Right, yeah.
No, you can't.
Yeah. No. You know what? Not an overreaction. Not
overreaction. Yeah, there we go. Here we go.
So, actually,
I
was going to say it's not really an overreaction. I know they have a lot of new stuff, but they are the defending national champions. Regardless of how much new stuff they have, that expectation is still set for that team. I mean, they still have Harbaugh's recruiting classes coming up, regardless of how well, was it Sherrod? Is that the head coach's?
Sharon Moore.
Sharon, thank you. Regardless of what they
Chili's,
have, of how
Sherrod.
Chili's, regardless of how he recruits, he still has these at least next 1 or 2 seasons with top recruiting classes, regardless of how he recruits moving forward. So the talent is definitely 100% there, and it's college football. I mean, there's always new guys flowing through, and that hasn't really stopped Michigan from ever being, at least a contender, regardless of they could always end up beating Ohio State or Oregon on any day. I mean, they're just that type of program. So I would say it's not really an overreaction. Do I think they're going to win the Big Ten? No. But as of right now, I mean, as the defending national champions, I don't think you can really bet against them.
To put this in perspective, they've lost their leader in passing yards, rushing yards, receiving yards, overall tackles for loss, sacks, and interceptions.
It happens. It's college football, baby.
That's a lot.
They'll still win 10 games this year. For sure.
For sure. Lock it. Dean's lock of the season.
Lock it in. Undefeated.
No question.
Never lost.
They'll never lose again.
I would certainly say if you looked me in the eyes and were saying, without a doubt, Michigan's winning the Big Ten for the 4th year in a row, I'm going to say you're 100% overreacting. I just don't think it's going to happen. It's definitely possible. I mean, they got to start the season 5-0, roll into Washington and get a win, which is also very possible because Washington's having a lot of turnover also. But you have to go to Washington. If you get that and you're starting out 6-0, then I'll start thinking they have a chance because at that point they've already beaten Texas and USC, with the only real big mark games coming up with Oregon and OSU after that. But as we sit now, I mean, you guys have highlighted, transitioning to a new coach, an entire new defensive coaching staff, replacing nearly 20 starters. Then you look down the barrel of what's going to be standing on the other side of the field from them. I'd say to me, it's very hard to say or confidently feel like they can win the Big Ten again. And what are the odds a team wins the conference 4 years in a row in general, let alone with what the Big Ten's offering this year and the schedule Michigan has? I just don't see it. And I'd be surprised if they won 10 games also. Because they're going to go undefeated. 100%.
I mean,
no questions asked.
No questions asked. They're going to beat Michigan State badly.
They're going to beat them all. Oh, so bad.
So badly.
Showdown
Washington
style where we hope to score a point.
Yeah. We probably won't. Probably won't.
Probably can't even get past the 50-yard
Michigan
line.
will win 100-0.
150 to nothing.
150.
So yeah, I mean, Washington, going to Washington will be tough, but they're also, I think Washington was the only other school that is more likely to regress than Michigan.
I would
think
agree
that's
with that.
probably
Yeah.
good. I mean, they get Texas and USC at home, but it's still Texas. It's still USC.
USC's got some players, man.
Arkansas State's coming into town.
Don't sleep on them.
Don't sleep on them.
If they were to get past Texas, USC, and Washington, after beating Illinois, if they beat Illinois, they'd be 7-0 going into the Michigan State week.
That's their first loss.
And they got Michigan State at home and Oregon at home. So
it's in Ann Arbor too for Michigan State. So
yeah, it is.
Easy dub for Michigan.
But
easy.
Muff the kick or whatever. You never know.
Yes, trouble with the snap.
Oh, I just wanted to hear you say it. It was beautiful. Beautiful call.
You can't get away from it.
Well, no, I mean, come on. That's one of those plays, man. And if it happened in any rivalry game anywhere in the country, it's just like the kick six, right? I mean, it
happened in prime time.
Oh,
I was at work listening on the radio, and I was just like so happy. I was just so happy, and then
just a quick punt. And then
I was like, I'm gonna put it on my phone. I put it on my phone, and that I just looked. I just went. I was so sad the rest of the night. So sad.
Well, you know what? That'll be something good to bring up during game week. We'll talk about our trouble with the snap stories.
No, I think we got through it. So, all right. So overreactions, cool. All overreactions,
cool.
Well, we are ready for football.
Well, no, Dean said it wasn't an overreaction.
Oh, he did. Yeah. Thanks, Dean. Go Blue. Well, we are ready for football.
Come
on. We still have summer sports, and that leads into this week's weekly Tigers Update.
Oh. I didn't know we were all doing it.
It was a week for the Motor City Kitties. They went 4-3 since last recording, splitting a series with Boston and taking a series from Texas. But the big news coming from the team this week was Justin Henry Malloy getting called up and Spencer Torkelson getting sent down to AAA Toledo. Another one of those things is kind of the theme of tonight, kind of long overdue. I feel like this should have been happening 3 weeks ago. You know?
Yeah.
I know you do.
You know I do.
How you feel? How you guys feeling? I actually before we get into that, I saw something today where it was actually a Red Sox article where they were talking about how they should trade for Urshela. And I don't know if I agree with that.
Who would they give up for Urshela?
I would assume some prospect,
Yeah, I mean, I would guess.
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
Still 9.5 back, I believe. With 100 games to go. How do you guys feel about
2.5
that?
out from the wild card, though, right? Or maybe now it's 3.
Because they
Yeah.
lost to Texas.
Do you guys feel like, I mean, it sounded like they thought that the Tigers are going to be sellers already pretty early
Well,
for that.
It is really early for that, but I mean, I don't know. For me, it seems like they're just kind of sitting middle of the road right now. They're not really showing out, but they're not playing the worst baseball, I guess. It's not great. It's not a great brand of baseball. It's sloppy at times, but I mean, they're sticking around the 500 mark roughly. I don't know. I don't know how early is too early in baseball to start saying you should start selling off your players before. I don't know how early you can really, unless you're like 0-40.
Unless you're the White Sox right now.
Yeah, a team that's like barely into the double digits of wins. But going to Torkelson, I mean, I think him getting moved to AAA will be a good thing for him. Just to get his confidence up if they ever decide to bring him back up. I mean, he's got I don't think it should be a move down for 2 games and then bring him back up. I think he needs to spend some legitimate time in AAA just to build himself back up. I mean, we all thought he would be a guy, like one of the guys. I mean, you draft somebody number 1 overall. And then this is kind of like a wake up call for him. Like you may not be that guy that we all thought you were, even that you might have thought that you were. And I mean, I think we all know that he probably was never going to be like a Golden Glover or, probably hit for a super high batting average or anything like that. But I mean, he has to hit for power and he hasn't done that at all. Other than like, his couple of home runs that he had during that little stretch. But if you're going to hit a low batting average, you got to hit bombs. I mean, that's generally what he was doing last year where, he hit the 31 home runs. I mean, he's not even on pace for that. So, and then I looked into a thing where like, he's a fastball hitter and he's just not hitting the fastball like he was last year. So you got to bring him, you put him down. Hopefully he can get some confidence. Maybe the game's sped up on him and it just bypassed him and he just can't catch up. And it'll be a good thing, or, you just got to kind of move on. He's not a guy that they drafted. So, or that, that Hinch was really a part of. So, we'll just hopefully it works out for him. We'll see what happens.
Right. Yeah. Talking to your first question about whether it's too early or not, I would say right now it is. I think when you're sitting at 500, you at least got to get into the first week, after the first week of July, to see where you're at. Because I'm just begging for them to win because I want to see. I mean, obviously I want them to win, but begging for them to win, get like 4 or 5 games over 500 by July 7th ish, or be there. And let's see, by then you should be moving forward with like trying to make something happen. And if they don't, then it just signals something else. I think if they're 5 to 7 games above 500 by July 4th, I mean, you could see they should just DFA Javi. At that point, like be real about the situation. I'm just begging, please. But right now it's definitely too early. to say that you're a seller, especially when you're sitting at 500. You have a top 5 pitching staff in all of baseball, and you have a bottom 5 hitting lineup. But we've belabored this. I certainly have plenty of times, and I'm certainly, it's not something I'm celebrating, but I did call it last week. Maybe Scott Harris is listening to the podcast, because I basically said what they ended up doing, and that Torque goes down, Henry Malloy comes up, and Canna could play first, which is exactly what happened in his first game up. I mean, Torque was sitting at 201, and the 10 games prior, before being sent down, he'd only had one game where he recorded a hit, and it was 3 hits that game, but that was the game they scored 14 runs against Toronto. So Henry Malloy deserves a little bit of a grace period for production, but he did in his 8th at bat of the season what Torque couldn't do in his first 140, which was obviously hit a home run. I'm looking forward to seeing what he could do. I did have a question for you guys. Kirk Gibson, I was listening to him on the radio. He called into a Detroit radio station the other morning. And he was basically saying, preaching patience, that people were being too negative, and basically we should be happy with where we're at. And then he started talking about like the 1984 team and whatnot. And I'm like, okay, I was like, that's interesting, because as a player, he was not a patient person at all. You wouldn't have caught him preaching patience during his playing days. Plus, he had studs like Lou, Tram, Chet Lemon, himself, Rod Allen. Obviously Rod didn't do much, but he was on that squad. We don't have that. And I think it outlines the two thoughts of fans around the team. If Kirk listened to me or us, he'd at least say I was being a hater and I don't have patience and that I'm being negative with the team. And then there's the other side where people are like, how can you hate when we have a 500 club and there's progression and we have elite pitching, etc. I clearly fall on the side of let's make a move and let's try and get to the playoffs. I was just curious what side you guys feel like you're more aligned with. Are you happy that they're 500 and this is part of the progression of Scott Harris's plan? I got to give him some kudos, because Justin Henry Malloy is somebody he traded for in his first year as GM, and I had forgotten about that. This guy I'd been begging for them to bring up. It started out pretty cold, but anyway, that aside,
I'm not overly happy at all. In a year that I hate the word we, but where the team was supposed to be contending for an AL Central title. Now, given Cleveland's played very well,
the Central's played up.
City, yeah, but they haven't, right? I don't know what you're doing with Javi Baez. It keeps getting worse. I get it. It's a lot of money. No one's going to want him. I don't know who would want him. And even if there was someone that wanted him, you're not going to get anything for him. It was interesting you brought up the DFA for him, because I think that's
if we're
the
being
direction.
serious.
Yeah, I think that's the direction where this is going. He has Hinch's unwavering support for whatever reason. And I don't know if that's Hinch playing to Javi, hoping. I mean, he's been hard on Javi, and Javi's responded, right? But he hasn't really done that, and he's just kind of, I guess, lack of a better term, coddled him for most of this season.
We're 2.5 years into this Javi. I think we know what we got, right?
Right. I mean, he's at 184 right now. His slugging percentage is 251. He has 1 home run. I mean,
nice.
I don't get it. We've talked about this pretty much every week. I have a little more comfort in the fact that they did what was supposed to be done with Torkelson. That they finally did it. I mean, they could have easily just taken the Javi Baez way out and just kept him up. And you know, I again, we talked about this about 3 weeks ago. I like the I like the idea of sending them down to Grand Rapids and
Billy
Billy Madison
Madison.
their way up. You know what I mean? I mean, it can't get any worse for Javi. I just send him down there, let him get to 300 there, get him up to Erie, let him hit 300 there, and then get to Toledo, and maybe he'll hit 240.
Let me just say real quick, just for a comparison standpoint, there's like an advanced metric that's like OPS plus, which factors in like the ballparks they're also hitting in. Torque was at like 36-ish or something, which is like worse than 35 to 40% of the league, right? So that's not great. It's not the worst, but it's not great. Javi is at like 30, which is worse than 75 or 70% of the league. So we're going to send Torque down, and then we're just going to let Javi keep hitting in the 8 spot starting every day. He doesn't start every day right now, but you know what I'm saying? Like, obviously something needs to, that's just one piece to like highlight, like, okay, this is where we're at.
Do you think that's all Hinch, or do you think it's the owner because they're paying him so much money?
It's so hard to know.
You know,
feels
what I mean?
like a
He's almost like, I
combination.
have to coddle him because, you know what I mean? Because the Illich or whoever, I can't remember,
Chris
wants him to play because he's paying him the most on the whole team. And moving him down to AAA is the best move. Just moving him down would be the best move, but you can't, because he's like, I'm not going to pay a minor leaguer $40 million to play in AAA. You know what I mean?
I don't know this. I don't know if it works like hockey. Can they even send him down?
I don't know.
Because technically
You
Torque
know?
is still on his rookie contract, right?
I believe so.
So I guess he still is that two-way type of. I don't know how MLB contracts work.
I mean, he might
know
have
if
it
they
in
have
his
two-way
contract
players.
that he can't get sent down, right?
Right,
I mean,
right.
either way, I don't think he would go.
Right. Yeah. That might
If
be
they're
a
like,
thing.
hey, you're going to AAA, he'd be like, I'm just not.
Yeah, you'll just keep paying me my.
You pay me or you cut me, I'm not gonna.
Right. Yeah.
And you still have 3 years left on his contract.
That's it.
Right. 3 more years. Perfect.
Just trying to get to that contract year.
Yeah. Get a re-sign in. Extend him with 1 year left.
Yeah, but to answer your question, I think I fall more on the side of I'm not like Bill said, general, I'm pretty much on the same page as you guys. I'm not overly happy that they're 500 right now, but I do realize that it's early, and baseball is a game of runs where you go on streaks, and that's usually how most teams, well, not most teams, but a good chunk of teams will get hot at the right time and win enough games to sneak their way into a wild card, or maybe depending on what the division looks like. But like you said, Ed, like if you wait until once you get into July, and then it's time to start making moves if you're just hovering at 500. So I think I fall more in the middle of like, I'm okay with them being 500 right now, but they can't just stay at 500 and I'm going to be ecstatic. They need bats. You got to make a move somewhere.
And there's things to like, right? I mean, there's positives. Pitching, like you said, the pitching's been great. Matt Vierling's been good.
Mm.
Riley Green, for the most part, has played pretty well. Kerry Carpenter before he got hurt.
And he only pitches, or he only hits against, righties or whatever. Like, I like Kerry Carpenter. I mean, Wenzel Perez has been a nice surprise, obviously.
Right.
But I don't know. You got to be serious about what you're doing with the team, and it's insulting to me, I guess, to do things like make the announcement today about having a special home plate club. Did you guys see that?
No.
Next year they're doing a home plate club, so it's like an upgraded. They're like redoing the seats that are behind home plate from like the on deck circle to the on deck circle on both sides, and it's going to be like just a special situation. And it's like, that's like putting the cart before the horse too, because usually you do that after you go out. Like, so you go out, and I'm not saying this is going to happen because I don't even think he's having a good year, but just an example, like they went out and got like Juan Soto or something. It's like you go out and do Juan Soto or Aaron Judge or whoever, and then you say, oh, and then like 2 weeks later, you're like, hey, and then next year we're going to have the home club because like that brings people in. But like now you're at this whole home plate club thing, which they didn't announce the prices because, I mean, there's no point in us even knowing what they are. They're going to be like a special entrance and exit for people who have those, so they don't have to walk with the pores and whatnot, and just, have their own special thing. But it's like, man, I mean, don't you get the players and the exciting team first before you add the up up the price of the other stuff? Like, I don't know. It's insulting to me that you're going to pitch me more money and more in higher prices for everything before you even give us a team that can consistently stay above 500 when we don't have asked to support the team. I mean, you can't, like the Rangers series is a great example. We won that series, but we only scored 6 runs over 3 games. Like that doesn't usually work out. Your pitching has to be that good. We have a 90-win club pitching team. We have a 60-win hitting lineup. Like, why don't you do something about that's like? Why don't you do something about that? And then we'll get to July, and they're going to trade Jack Flaherty for, somebody's best AA prospect.
Very negative reactions to the home plate club, by the way.
I'm sure. Why wouldn't it be?
Couple of comments here. A premier baseball experience would be bringing in at least 2 big bats.
Boom.
Yes. The nerve to make these seats premium and more expensive when the owner doesn't even spend the revenue he makes.
Yes.
Boo. I thought this was going to be a Savannah Bananas game, not a cash grab to charge fans more.
We get to 500 and you just juice it up. Or only at 500.
Hey, Kirk said it, man. We should just be happy about it.
Patient. Just be happy.
Be happy. Like
Idiot.
the price boost.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
If you're going to pay more, that better be worth paying more. Otherwise, no.
Unlimited
and he also said,
dogs.
at one point, Kirk Gibson said, oh, we're not the Yankees or whatever. It's like, okay, yeah, we're not the Yankees. But, our owner is actually richer than the Yankees owner. So could we do something about that? Like, what are you talking about? Stop being a freaking slappy, Kirk. Like, dude.
Yeah.
I trusted him.
I trusted you.
And he's like,
I loved you, Gibby.
He's like, also,
I still do.
I hate Benetti.
Yeah,
He probably has.
He just peppers that in.
Fire Benetti.
Last comment here. How about you spend money on making the team good first? That would sure help the experience.
Yeah, definitely.
Positive reviews of the home plate club.
Other than the people living on Lake Huron over there in their matches, like, oh, the home plate club next year, honey. Wouldn't that be a nice little treat for the grandbabies?
For the grandbabies.
That'll be a Christmas present.
Unbelievable, dude. That's so unbelievable.
That's the stuff that gets people upset. It's fine to do it, but give us something first.
Why? It's whatever.
Even then, it's still upsetting to like the people that actually support and uphold the team throughout the entire season. Like how many people who don't get Bally have honestly just switched over to listening on the radio. I know I've listened. This is the most games I listened to on the radio in 15 years at least. Because before, when they were like must watch, must know what's going on, like if I couldn't catch the game, I was listening on the radio. Like I had to.
I'll get you that
Right.
login. I'll get you that login.
Hey,
You don't
man.
need to be hearing Kirk Gibson.
I feel like has it been SEMO
I think him and they
and
switch on
Dickerson?
TV
I mean, obviously the
on and off.
Dan Dickerson, but
Yeah.
I feel like I've been hearing Craig Monroe a bit lately. Just fine. I don't mind Craig.
Yeah, like
I don't know what happened to Andy Dirks. He was doing all right. Either way, it doesn't matter.
Bobby Scales. Anyways, okay. So, no, you're fine. So over the course of next week, they're home against Milwaukee and home against the Nationals. So six at home.
Milwaukee's
over the
tough, dude. They're
next
first
week.
right now, I think, in their division.
They are first in their division, and I don't know who did I say the other one was.
Washington.
Oh, the Nationals. Yeah, they're
They're-
okay. They're so okay. Well, once again, that'll do it for this week. Thank you, everyone, for watching this week's episode and all the episodes before. We really do appreciate if you liked what you watched or heard. Be sure to like the video, hit us up with a comment and how you feel about the Home Plate Club. Also, check out last week's. Also comment if you think MSU might make a playoff, get a playoff spot. Will Michigan win the Big Ten?
Dude, I love MSU, but
Yeah.
they're not going to the
There's
playoffs.
got to be some sort of realism around here.
I
Already
mean,
said
mean-
Michigan would win the Big Ten again. Jeez, Pete's.
yeah.
Talk about an
That's
overreaction. Am I right, fellas?
So, yeah, hit us up with a comment. Also, check out last week's episode below me. Hit the logo below Dean and next to Eddie the other way to subscribe if you are watching us on YouTube. Hit the notification bell so you know when we come out with the next new episode. And if you're listening, to subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much. For Dean and Eddie, this is Bill saying, have a great week and see you next time on the BDE Sports Talk.
Sports Talk.